Retatrutide is coming, and Big Pharma is already trying to block your access. Hi, my name is Dr. Shweta Patel. I am the founder of Gaia Wellness as well as the author of the Book of Hormones. And today we're talking about Retatrutide. So let's get into it. Retatrutide, a first-in-class triple hormone receptor agonist targeting GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon, produced 28.7% average body weight loss at 68 weeks in adults with obesity. That's roughly 71 pounds. No weight loss medications have ever produced results like this in large phase 3 trials. FDA approval is expected in 2027 to 2028, but the question isn't whether it works. The question is whether you'll be able to afford it when it does actually arrive. The most powerful weight loss medication ever tested in humans is going to get FDA approved, and it's produced nearly 29% body weight loss in clinical trials. That's more than semaglutide, Ozempic or Wegovy. That's more than tirzepatide, Mounjaro, Zepbound. More than anything we've ever seen outside of bariatric surgery. And right now, before Retatrutide even has an FDA approval date, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are spending millions on lawsuits, lobbying, and FDA warning letters to dismantle the compounding pharmacy ecosystem that could eventually make this medication accessible to women who can't afford a $1,300 a month prescription for a brand name injection. This is what nobody tells you. The fight over compounding pharmacies has never been about safety. It's about market share. And women over 40, the population that needs these medications most, are caught in the crossfire. The most powerful weight loss drug ever tested, and you can't even get it yet. Retatrutide is an investigational once-weekly injectable developed by Eli Lilly. Unlike anything currently on the market, it activates 3 metabolic hormone receptors simultaneously: GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. The triple mechanism is why researchers have started calling it Triple G. Here's what the data shows. In December of 2025, Lilly released top-line results from the TRIUMPH-4 phase 3 trial. 445 adults with obesity and knee osteoarthritis randomized to Retatrutide 9 milligrams, 12 milligrams, or placebo over 68 weeks. The results were staggering. 28.7% average body weight loss. Nearly half of the participants achieved at least 25% total weight loss. 75.8% reduction in knee pain scores, with 1 in 8 participants completely free of knee pain. Then, in March 2026, Lilly announced the TRIUMPH-3 results, in which people with type 2 diabetes, Retatrutide reduced hemoglobin A1C levels by 1.9% and produced 16.8% weight loss in just 40 weeks, with the weight loss still accelerating and not yet plateaued. That detail matters. Most GLP-1 medications hit a ceiling. Retatrutide hasn't found one. 7 additional phase 3 trials are expected to report throughout 2026. The science is clear. The question is, when it arrives, who gets to actually use it? To understand why Retatrutide is a different category of medications, you need to understand what each generation of weight loss drug actually does. Ozempic or Wegovy is only a single receptor. It usually creates 15 to 17% weight loss and is FDA approved. Tirzepatide or Mounjaro, Zepbound are 2 GLP receptors. It includes GLP-1 and GIP, and that typically creates 20 to 22% of weight loss and is FDA approved. Retatrutide, GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon, and it creates almost 30% of weight loss. The third receptor, glucagon, that's the difference maker. Here's what I see in my practice that explains why this matters specifically for women in menopause. GLP-1 reduces appetite. GIP improves insulin sensitivity. Both are important, but glucagon does something neither of those receptors does. It directly increases fat oxidation and energy expenditure. It tells your body to burn stored fat for energy, not just eat less, but actually metabolize more. So for women over 40 whose declining estrogen has already tanked their basal metabolic rate and shifted fat storage towards the viscera, or the glucagon receptor activation addresses the metabolic slowdown that GLP-1 alone cannot fix. This is why a 2023 study published in the New England Journal of Medicine showed Retatrutide producing nearly double the weight loss of semaglutide at comparable time points. It's not just suppressing appetite, guys. It's rewriting the metabolic equation. And this is precisely why, for my patients who are also on hormone replacement therapy, I'm watching Retatrutide very closely. The combination of hormonal optimization with a triple receptor agonist could represent the most complete metabolic intervention we've ever had for midlife weight gain. The compounding pharmacy fight is about money, not safety. Let me be clear about something that makes me genuinely angry. When semaglutide and tirzepatide were in a shortage from 2022 to 2025, the FDA was perfectly fine with compounding pharmacies producing these medications for us. The shortage list existed, the legal pathways were open, compounders stepped in, millions of Americans got access to affordable GLP-1 therapy at $200 to $400 instead of the $1,000 to $1,500 per month for brand. Then the manufacturers caught up with the production, the FDA removed semaglutide from the shortage list, and overnight, compounding pharmacies went from being part of the solution to being treated like criminals. The timeline of what happens next. September of 2025, FDA sent approximately 100 cease and desist letters to online sellers of compounded GLP-1 medications. In February, the FDA announced plans to restrict GLP-1 ingredients in compounded drugs, specifically targeting companies like Hims and Hers. In March of this year, the FDA released 30 additional warning letters to telehealth companies and compounders. In March of 2026, Novo Nordisk and Hims & Hers struck a deal. Hims would sell branded Novo products and stop advertising compounded alternatives. In April, the FDA issued a public clarification that compounders must stop producing essentially a copy of drugs no longer in shortage. Meanwhile, Eli Lilly applauded the crackdown publicly and has been sending cease and desist letters to compounding pharmacies and even individual physician offices. A Lilly spokesperson stated that compounders are putting patients at risk by unlawfully mass-producing knockoff drugs. Let me translate that for you. The same medication that was safe enough to compound when Lilly and Novo couldn't keep up with the demand became knockoff drugs the moment they could. The molecule didn't change. The manufacturing standards at legitimate 503B compounding pharmacies didn't change. The only thing that changed was who was making money. And here's a number that explains everything. Brand name Wegovy costs approximately $13.49 per month. Compounded semaglutide costs around $200 to $400 per month. The ingredient cost to manufacture a 1-month supply has been estimated at under $5. That's margin worth being protected, don't you think? What a legitimate compounding pharmacy actually looks like, and what we specifically look for at Gaia. Let me be equally clear about the other side of this. Not all compounding pharmacies are equal, and I have zero tolerance for the fly-by-night operations that are genuinely putting patients at risk. The FDA has legitimate concerns about some compounders. They've received reports of injectable GLP arriving warm without proper cold chain shipping. They've identified fraudulent products with fake pharmacy labels. But there's a massive difference between a shady online peptide vendor and a licensed, inspected, US-based compounding pharmacy operating under federal oversight. Here's what I require from every compounding partner I prescribe through at Gaia Wellness. US-based and state licensed. 503B outsourcing facility. Certificate of analysis for every batch, a legitimate script certification, and a proper cold chain shipping. This is what the FDA should be enforcing, a clear distinction between legitimate compounding operations and illegal manufacturers. Instead, the current approach treats the entire compounding industry as the problem to be eliminated, which conveniently benefits two companies that would prefer zero-price competition. I prescribe compounded bioidentical hormones and GLPs through 503B facilities for my hormonal agency patients. I've seen the quality, I've reviewed the batch testing. The idea that FDA-regulated compounding pharmacies are inherently dangerous while $1,300 a month brand name drugs shipped by mail order pharmacies are inherently safe is not a scientific argument, it's a marketing strategy. What this means for women over 40 who need these medications. Here's why I'm writing this post. And it's not to litigate pharmaceutical patent law. The women I treat, women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, dealing with hormonal shifts, metabolic resistance, and decades of being told to just eat less or work out more, are the population that stand to benefit from the next generation of metabolic medications. And they are systematically the population with the least access. So, if the compounding pharmacy ecosystem gets dismantled before Retatrutide reaches the market, there will be no affordable alternative pathway when it finally does. The precedent being set right now will determine whether Retatrutide becomes a medication for everyone or a medication for people with excellent insurance. This is a woman's health issue, folks. Women are prescribed GLP-1 medications at higher rates than men. Women in midlife face unique metabolic challenges that make these medications more necessary, not less. And women are disproportionately affected by the cost barrier because they're more likely to be on their spouse's insurance plan, more likely to have coverage gaps after divorce, and more likely to be told that their weight is a willpower problem rather than a medical condition. What we're doing about this at Gaia Wellness. Our weight loss concierge program is a physician-managed, biomarker-driven protocol that starts with 50-plus biomarker panels and builds a plan around your actual biology. We source our GLP medications through legitimate channels. We source our compounded bioidentical hormones through FDA-regulated 503B outsourcing facilities. Every prescription is backed by labs, monitored quarterly, and adjusted based on actual response, not algorithmic upselling. In final words, the real problem isn't compounding, guys. It's a system that prices women out of care. Retatrutide is going to be extraordinary. The data is already extraordinary. A triple agonist that produces nearly 30% weight loss, eliminates knee pain, controls blood sugar, and hasn't hit a weight loss plateau at 6 to 8 weeks. We've never seen anything like it. But if the only women who can access it are the ones with premium insurance and no deductible, we failed. If the compounding pharmacy infrastructure that could make Retatrutide affordable gets destroyed by corporate litigation before the drug even launches, we failed. If the FDA continues to treat price competition as a safety threat, we've failed. I'm a physician. I prescribe what works, sourced from legitimate pharmacies, managed with real medical oversight. I will never compromise on quality. I refuse to accept that quality care has to cost $1,300 a month. Your body changed. Your metabolism changed. The science finally caught up. Don't let the system price you out of the solution. This is again Dr. Shweta Patel. I am a board-certified OBGYN, founder of Gaia Wellness, and the author of the Book of Hormones. Thank you for listening.